Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna. Shri Shri Radha Madhava ki jai, Shla Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Thank you. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, Chapter 30, Descriptions of Adverse Fruitive Activities. Verses number 15. Please repeat after me. Aste vamatyo panyastam. Aste vamatyo panyastam. Griha pala ivaharan. Griha pala ivaharan. Amayavya partiptagnir. Amayavya praptignagnir. Alpaharol pacheshtitaha. Alpaharol pacheshtitaha. Aste vamatyo panyastam. Griha pala ivaharan. Amayavya pradiptagnir. Alpaharol pacheshtitaha. Aste vamatyo panyastam. Griha pala ivaharan. Amyavya pradiptagnir. Alpaharol pacheshtitaha. Mataji's. Aste, he remains. Avamatya, negligent. Upanyastam, what is placed. Grihapalaha, a dog. Eva, like. Aharan, eating. Amayavi, diseased. Apradipta agni, having dyspepsia. Dyspepsia, this means indigestion. Alpa, little. Aharaha, eating. Alpa, little. Cheshtitaha, his activity. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Thus he remains at home, just like a pet dog, and eats whatever is so negligently given to him. Afflicted with so many illnesses, such as dyspepsia and loss of appetite, he eats only very small morsels of food, and he becomes an invalid who cannot work anymore. Report. Before meeting death, one is sure to become a diseased invalid, and when he is neglected by his family members, his life becomes less than a dog's, because he is put into so many miserable conditions. Vedic literatures enjoin, therefore, that before the arrival of such miserable conditions, one should leave home and die without the knowledge of his family members. If a man leaves home and dies without his family's knowing, that is considered to be a glorious death. But an attached family man wants his family members to carry him in great procession even after his death. And although he will not be able to see how the procession goes, he still desires that his body be taken gorgeously in procession. Thus, he is happy without even knowing where he has to go when he leaves his body for the next life. Om Agyana Timrandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Militamina Tasmai Shri Guru Namah Krishna Krishna Budare Srimati Bhakti Kash Swamini Tamine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishna Budale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swamini Tamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravane Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Aste Vamatya Panyastam Griha Palaiva Haram Amayavya Pradiptagnir Alpahara Alpacheshtitaha. Thus he remains at home, just like a pet dog, and eats whatever is so negligently given to him, afflicted with many illnesses such as dyspepsia and loss of appetite. He eats only very small morsels of food, and he becomes an invalid who cannot work anymore. So Kapila Muni is here describing old attached grihastha. He's describing it. He remains attached to family life. And what is Prabhupada saying? What is glorious death? Bhakta Bjorn? Yeah, that is correct. Glorious death, Prabhupada is explaining, to die without family members even knowing. We heard yesterday Akila Prabhu was giving this example of Dhritarashtra. And I also, when I read this verse, I also remember this point that Dhritarashtra, he stayed attached to family members. And although Bhima, he killed all his 100 sons, still Dhritarashtra, he remained there under the protection of Yudhishthira. And then when Vidura came from this pilgrimage to holy places, he was amazed and he criticized his older brother. And he told him, "You are just like a dog. How can you live like this?" Because Bhima, he killed all his sons, and in a court, Bhima also joked and he agitated Dhritarashtra. In his presence, he would talk to others very loudly, so the Dhritarashtra could hear, and he would say, I smashed that Duryodhana, I killed him like very easily," and he would say things like that. And Dhritarashtra could hear that, and still he remained in this position. And his brother Vidura, he advised him, "You leave this family life and go in a forest." And we know that this, although Dhritarashtra was a blind, these instructions of Vidura opened his eyes, so to say, and he saw, actually, my brother is correct. I should leave this attachment. I should go to forest and engage myself in spiritual activities. And in that way, Dhritarashtra, during the night, he left the family and he engaged himself in this in tapasya. And we know also from so many different kings in Srimad Bhagavatam is giving descriptions from so many different kings that they could see this truth, and that they had this quality that they could renounce in old age. We know that 5 Pandavas, although they were ruling the whole earth, they were kings, but still at the end of their life, they installed Parikshit Maharaj, because he was their grandson, and they installed him as a king. They saw he's right. We have a heir we can install as a king, and now we can go. And they did it like this. They installed Parikshit Maharaj, and then they went to do tapasya, to do austerities, and to engage themselves in purifying activities. But nowadays we see that this is not the case. Nowadays, we know that different politicians. I know when I was in Croatia, you have this parliament, and when they are with the cameras in this parliament, they are old men. So many old men sitting there and thinking they are very important. They engage themselves in politics, making decisions, but it's actually this is not the proper time. The time for them is to be engaged in the spiritual activities. That's why nowadays you think about it, that you think that old people, they should be wise. This is the common thought. But actually it is not like that. We know from our experience that it's not correct, actually. Because I remember when my grandmother used to babysit us when my mother had to work. My grandmother would come to our place to take care of us because we were small children. And then she would watch this Spanish soap operas. You have this TV series. These were Spanish, and they would go for years and years, and like you had so many, these like thousands of them, and you have to watch each and every one. You cannot miss one. If you miss one, then you don't know what's happening, you know. And she would watch them so enthusiastically, you know? And I watched one time and I could not understand. It was, although I was a kid, it was very stupid for me, you know. It does not make sense, you know. So we see that actually I didn't learn very much from my grandparents, but it should be that you learn something, that if you have knowledge, then you can give it to others. But old people nowadays, they don't have knowledge. They don't have real knowledge. They are engaged in so many stupid activities that they don't know what is true knowledge. And true knowledge is differentiation between matter and spirit. This is the beginning of knowledge. Who am I? What is my mission here? What is my goal of life? What should I do here? And these are some questions that we don't ask ourselves. And these questions, they are not learned in schools nowadays. So so this is what I wanted to speak about. This verse about old age and disease, and I want to speak about different subject now. Maybe if there are some questions now. If there are no questions, then I will ask questions. Who is the Vayu? Demigod Vayu. The demigod of Bhakta Bjorn? Vayu. Demigod of? Somebody knows? Yes? The wind, yes, this is correct. Vayu is the demigod of wind. Bhakti Srila Siddhanta Saraswati is giving Shastric evidence that Vayu, he had incarnations in different yugas. It is described 3 incarnations. Somebody knows, in Treta Yuga, Vayu appeared as Kripasindhu Prabhu. You know? In Treta Yuga? Huh? Yes, you can guess.
One of the monkeys?
Yes.
Sugriva?
No. Hanuman, yes. Yeah. Hanuman. Then in Dvapara Yuga, as Mataji, maybe you know? Bjorn, you know? No. Yes? Yes, Bhima. And in Kali Yuga, he appeared as Madhva Acharya. Madhva Acharya. Because today is disappearance day of Madhva Acharya. And he is very, very important Acharya in our line, actually. Very important. And we know that Vayu's incarnations were very powerful. Very, very powerful. They were very strong, because wind is very strong. In that way we know Hanumanji. He was very, very strong. Bhima also. There are so many glories of them. And Madhvacharya, he was also physically very powerful and also intellectually very powerful. And he appeared to give this Dvaitavad philosophy. We know Dvaitavad philosophy. Vad means philosophy. Dvaita means double or dual philosophy. We know that in that time he was born in 13th century, and we know that in that time this Mayavad, this impersonalism, was very, very prominent in India because of Shankaracharya. He preached that. Actually, we know from from Padma Purana it is described why Shankaracharya appeared, why this impersonal Acharya appeared. Why? Because actually he was incarnation of Lord Shiva, very powerful. And it is described that Lord Vishnu, he ordered Lord Shiva to appear on earth and to give this wrong philosophy, so to say, to occupy minds of people, of egoistic people. In that way, it is like a sieving process, like boiling the milk. This is what Lord Vishnu had in mind. And we know actually that Shankaracharya, he spread all over India his teachings, that I am one, I am same as God, Soham, Tattvamasi, that is who am I. It is described there. And because of that, Madhvacharya, he appeared to smash this philosophy. And he established this Dvaitavad, Dvaita, double philosophy. What is the meaning of this? Somebody knows, somebody can tell me. What is this meaning, dual? You have some idea, Bhakta Bjorn? The meaning is dual, meaning me, Jiva, and the Lord, we are different. This is the dual. We are not the same. And he spread this philosophy all over India. And we know he was born as a son of Narayan Bhatta near Udupi. Somebody who has been in India, we know that Udupi is Karnataka, South India, and he appeared there in 13th century. But Narayan Bhatta, he had two sons who died immediately after birth. And in that way, he and his wife, they performed very, very severe austerities to get Madhvacharya as a son. It is described there that they lived only on milk for 12 years. It's amazing. Just to get the son, to purify themselves through austerity. And in that way, Madhvacharya, he appeared in Narayan Bhatta's house. But we know that we have four bona fide Vaishnava sampradayas. Somebody can tell me these four sampradayas? Kripasindu Prabhu. Yes. Yes, Rudra. Brahma. Lakshmi or Shri. Yes, four Kumaras. These are four bona fide Vaishnava sampradayas. And we are in a Brahma. Jai Shri Shri Prabhu Lakshmi Singhadev Prabhupada Ki Jai. And full name is Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. Brahma Madhva. Name is there, Madhvacharya. And when you look at it in Bhagavad Gita, and when you look at end of introduction, just before the first chapter, we have this Guru Parampara, and it goes immediately. Krishna, Brahma, Narada, Vyasa, and behind Vyasa is immediately Madhvacharya, behind Vyasadeva. But some devotees are confused. How is this possible? Because the difference is in many centuries between Vyasadeva and Madhvacharya. The answer is that Vyasadeva, he is still living. Vyasadeva is one of these personalities that he is still living. There are 7 personalities, I cannot remember them all, and among them is Vyasadeva, and he is there up in the Himalayas. And we know that actually Madhvacharya, he appeared there. He came there to get the instruction from Vyasadeva. He took shiksha from Vyasadeva, and that way, that's why it is described immediately behind Vyasadeva is coming Madhvacharya. And we know from his early days that when Madhvacharya, when he was a very small child, he was crawling, and then it is described there that one snake attacked him, and he even an infant, even a small baby, he smashed this snake with his foot on one stone, and there is still imprint in this stone from this Madhvacharya killing of this snake, and he left this imprint in a stone from crushing the snake's head, and even now you can see there near Udupi in Madhvacharya's house, you can still see this imprint of a snake when he killed this snake. And also there was one instance when Narayan Bhatta, Madhvacharya's father, he was very poor, and he had to lend money. He had to borrow some money to maintain himself and his family. And it is described that this one money lender, he came to collect his debt, and he came there to Narayan Bhatta's house, and he said, if you don't have money, I will stay here in this house. This is my house now. And then Madhvacharya, he as a small child, he plucked some tamarind seeds from a tree, and he gave these seeds to this money lender, and immediately in his hands these seeds turned to gold coins. And in that way, Madhvacharya, he paid the debt of his father, turning these tamarind seeds into gold coins. And it is described that Madhvacharya, he was not so attentive at school, but still when his teacher caught him that he was not attentive, teacher would ask him some questions, but Madhvacharya, he knew everything actually, and he replied everything to teacher, even these things that he did not teach them yet. He was very, very smart. And when he was only 10 years old, he expressed this desire to his father that he wants to preach this Dvaitava, this philosophy, and he wants to defeat all Mayavadis in India. And then his father told him, you will accomplish this, you will defeat this Mayavad philosophy. Only Madhvacharya had one stick in a hand, and his father told him, only when this stick turns to a tree, meaning you will never accomplish this. Why? Because this Shankaracharya's teaching, these impersonal teachings, was very popular at that time, and they were very, very accomplished and very, very powerful impersonalists, Mayavadis at that time. But then Madhvacharya told his father, no problem, and he put this stick in the ground, and immediately this tree appeared. And then his father could see that actually his young son, he would become a preacher, and he would defeat Mayavadis in that way. And we know that Madhvacharya, he traveled all over India, and he defeated these impersonal philosophy. And he was very, very powerful in that way. And there was also nice story about how Madhvacharya, he installed Udupi Krishna there in Udupi. Gopal. Krishna is a small cowherd boy. It is interesting story that actually this is very old deity behind this Udupi Krishna. Because when Krishna, when he was king of Dwaraka, this was this time when his mother, Devaki and Vasudev, they stayed at Dwaraka under Krishna's protection. And one day Devaki approached Krishna and she complained that although Krishna was her son, she did not have this mother-son relationship because Krishna was in Mathura under protection of Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj. And in that way, Devaki, she could not enjoy this paternal relationship with Krishna. And then Krishna, out of his love for his mother, he turned to Gopal, he turned to small boy. And in that way, Devaki could enjoy just a little bit with Krishna as a boy. And in that way, Rukmini, the wife of Krishna, chief queen, so to say, in Dwaraka, she heard that and she complained to Krishna, please also show me this form, I also want to see you. But Krishna, he was embarrassed. He didn't want to do it anymore because he was the king in Dwaraka. And he said, Rukmini, I cannot do it. But out of his affection, he manifested this deity out of his mind. He created this Gopal, this small Krishna with a stick as a small cowherd boy. And in that way, this deity was worshipped by Rukmini in Dwaraka. And then we know that Dwaraka was to become destroyed by ocean, by raising of oceans. And in that way, Arjuna, he was transporting, so to say, protecting all these queens, all this property. And it is described that he left at one place this deity, and it was forgotten. This deity was forgotten until Madhvacharya came. It is described there that there was one ship that came to ground, so to say, because the ship was going through some very shallow seas, and it became stuck there. It could not move, and this ship owner, he was lamenting and complaining, and Madhvacharya was there, and he said, okay, I will help you. And just by waving his cloth, he produced such a strong winds that these winds pushed this boat, and he saved this boat, this big merchant boat. We know that because Madhvacharya, he was incarnation of Vayu, he could produce such winds. And then this ship owner, he was very satisfied. And he told him, take anything from this ship, it's yours. And then Madhvacharya, he took this big stone. They would keep stones in a ship as ballast. So the stone can go nicely to the sea. You know, they use this as a ballast, so ship can go nicely to. You can drive it nicely then. And then Madhvacharya, he took this big stone from this ship, and it is described that by going to the temple, Madhvacharya, this stone he break apart, and inside was this deity, this Gopal Krishna, which Madhvacharya installed in Udupi, and you could see it now in Udupi there. I was there actually, and I saw it. I was waiting in a line, for darshan for a few hours, and then you can see, you come there, and there is you come in line and just stay in front of the deities, and immediately Pujari will push you after a few seconds, because so many people are waiting. But still it's nectar. You have to wait for a few hours just to see deities for a few seconds, and then Pujari will push you, go. But we know that Madhvacharya, he took sannyas very early, because he knew my father, he wants that I marry, he wants to marry me, so he left the home and he took sannyas very early. And in that tradition, even now in Udupi, there in this Madhva Mat, the sannyasis are very young. They are taking sannyas very young, only 10, 11 years old, even before reaching puberty. The students, they are giving sannyas. And they are maintaining their vows through their life. And we know even this, I don't know what's his name, but now this Acharya there, and he's very old, maybe 80 years old, and he took sannyas as a small boy. And he's very respectful to ISKCON. And when some Prabhupada's disciples came there to Udupi Krishna, this Acharya, he was speaking glories of Srila Prabhupada, and he glorified Srila Prabhupada for 1 hour. It was amazing, actually, that what Prabhupada did. So in that way, we know I had to speak a little bit about glories of Madhvacharya, that he was very, very powerful Acharya in our line. So we can meditate today on his life, on his teachings. And what is interesting, he gave many commentaries on Srimad Bhagavatam, on Bhagavad Gita. He was very learned, and he left some nice commentaries. And what is interesting is that when Madhvacharya, when he gave commentaries on Srimad Bhagavatam, on 10th canto, he skipped 13 and 14 chapters. Why? Because there, in 13th chapter, it is described Brahma Vimohana Lila. When Brahma, when he came to Vrindavan to take these cowherd boys, and then Krishna defeated him. In that way, that Krishna actually expanded himself in so many cowherd boys. And in that way, Brahma, he became bewildered. And in 14th chapter, Brahma is giving these nice prayers to Krishna. And Prabhupada was asked, why Madhvacharya, why he did not give commentaries to these chapters? And then Prabhupada smiled and he said, because Madhvacharya, because he considered Brahma as his guru, and he didn't want to describe this bewilderment of his guru. It is described there. And in that way it is confirmed actually that Madhvacharya is a disciple of Brahma himself, going in that line. And we know. So yes, in that way we have to engage ourselves in meditating, in reading books, in listening to Srila Prabhupada's lectures. And in that way, when old age comes, when disease comes, then we will be strong. We can meditate on these different acharyas, on these different pastimes of Lord Krishna, and not just be wasting our time like so many people today, like so many old people. Now old people, they are not respected. Just if you think about it, just this old house. Where they keep old people, they are booming. There's so many of them. This old people's home. Just the children just wait when their parents are old enough. They just put them in a home, just stay there, just forget about them. And then they were old people just being there, sitting, playing cards, and watching Spanish soap operas and things like that. No, we have to engage ourselves in remembering Krishna, in remembering his pastimes. In that way, maybe we are lucky enough when we die, when we leave this world, we will think of Krishna, and in that way we can go to Krishna. Okay, I will stop here. Maybe if there are some questions. Yes, Kripasinda Prabhu. Wait for the mic, just.
Gauranga, thank you very much, Prabhu. One question I have for quite some long time, but now you inspire me to finally ask, because you mentioned the disciplic succession, and also Arjuna, he was directly given this knowledge by Krishna. What is Arjuna's position in this disciplic succession? Why is he not in this line?
Maybe I could say only I can speculate a little bit if you will accept this. Because normally in this disciplic succession, we can say that they would actually, most of them, if not all, they were like Brahmana class. And Arjuna, he was a Kshatriya. And he had a different role to play, although he had this knowledge. And we know so many Kshatriyas actually, they were so much knowledgeable, so much knowledge they had. If you think about it, yesterday was Bhishma Ashtami, Bhishma Dev. He had so much knowledge actually, but they were different class, so to say, because they did not accept disciples. From them it was not expected to accept disciples. And if you cannot accept disciples, they will not give this knowledge to anybody else. You understand me? And in that way, their role was actually to be there and to fight. And they did it very, very famously. And what to say about Bhishma Dev? He was in the heavenly planets. He was like Brihaspati taught him. He was the guru of demigods. He taught Bhishma Dev. So yes, in that time they were very, very qualified Kshatriyas. Actually, they were very powerful in warfare, but also they had such a great knowledge that they would actually teach this knowledge. They could do it. They could, but this was not their role. And in that way, they did not accept disciples. In that way, when Arjuna, when he was older, actually, he was ruling the kingdom. He was helping Yudhishthir there with management of the whole earth. And when they were older, they went there. They take, to do tapasya, In that way, it was actually not expected from them to do it like this. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Okay. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Premanande Hari.